And good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Real Talks. My name is David Steele. Today, I have two very special filmmakers on today, and coincidentally they're married, and this is one of those things that it's rare but fantastic when it happens. So I have filmmaker Bayou Bennett, who attended the University of Arkansas, exploring the intersection of dance, performance, art, and film, where she did earn her master's degree. After graduation, she did go on to become the first woman to teach in the media department at the prestigious Parsons New School in New York. Her partner in crime, Daniel Lear, I just met him yesterday, he's a fantastic guy. He was born in Tel Aviv, graduated from New York Film University, so you know he's got chops, and just started his career after working for director Ridley Scott, of all people, who, of course, he won Best Picture for Gladiator and, of course, the iconic Blade Runner. Bayou and Daniel actually met at a cafe at the Lower East Side in 2007 and experienced success writing and directing together on their first short, Text Me, starring Matt Barnett from Nickelodeon's Victorious and film's really popular film, Bridesmaids, and of course the Sundance favorite, Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. Since then, Bayou and Daniel have gone on to win, get this guys, over 6 dozen awards as filmmakers and collaborators, and they've also worked with people like Michelle Pfeiffer, Oscar and Golden Globe nominee Mark Ruffalo just as of the other day, Juliette Lewis, and Norman Reedus. Their social changes, they want to inspire social change. Tombstone Pillar was actually filmed at a cemetery where 6,000 people live in the Philippines. And it's available on Amazon Prime. It was introduced by Oscar nominee and one of my favorite actors, Glass Onion actor Edward Norton in Italy. And their most recent connection, which we'll talk about in a couple minutes, was shot on 4 continents and basically asked the question, can one human have the ability to change the way of planet Earth? And I'm happy to actually welcome Daniel Lear and Bayou Bennett. Hi, guys. How are you?
David, thanks, man. This is exciting.
Thank you for having us.
Great to be here with you.
So, where to start? So, this is one of our Hello Dad pools. So, I got to ask first and foremost, so much to get to. First and foremost, so where can they find you on social media? That's the big question. Where can they find you on social media? You guys have a website?
Oh, yes. Okay, so we are at Dream Team Directors on Instagram and also Twitter and Dream
Twitter
Team.
is Dream
Team. Like Facebook as
YouTube.
Well as YouTube. And yes, so we're all there. And then we have Dream Team Directors as our website.
Cool. So you guys have been doing this for a long time. Over 20, 25 years. What? So many questions to get to. So growing up, and these questions are for both of you. Growing up, who were some of your inspirations, not only film thematically, but just in your everyday life?
Well, for me, it's interesting because my dad is a musician from Louisiana. His name is he's like kind of he plays music, and so he was in the Jazz Fest, New Orleans Jazz Fest, and basically he always followed the path of being an artist. And his name's Washboard Leo Thomas, and he became really well known, and he didn't give up on his dreams. So for me, it was kind of like that he was the one that inspired me, as well as Maya Darren. She was kind of my inspiration during my master's of arts, where she's a performance artist, but also a director. And she put herself in her own films, but also co-directed with her husband, kind of like we've done all the years.
Yeah. And for me, I would say in terms of inspirations, the first film that I really saw that really stopped me and like, this is what I'm really into, was a film by Gus Van Sant called My Own Private Idaho. But since then, I think I've had many inspirations in the film industry. But in terms of other inspiration, I would say my grandmother, who was a Holocaust survivor. She always taught us to be a survivor in life, and to, in spite of whatever obstacles you encounter in your life, to keep creating life no matter what is thrown at you.
Nice. So you guys met all the way back in 2007. and that's. Does it seem that long, or I mean, you guys, yeah, it never does it? So when did you guys know that I won't say native, that's not the right word, but like you've got obviously very successful company and dream teams. What was the opportunity or opportunities that you said, you know what? I think we can do this for a living.
The opportunities?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say it's like when we met, we just felt like there was a spark there. Like I felt like we were really on the same page. And I think the thing about the film industry, people try to understand, well, what is it? Well, it's like being an entrepreneur. You have to wake up every day and create your own career. Like it's not like someone's like calling you up and, oh, will you make a film for us, please? So it's sort of like you have to wake up every day and have the idea and the willingness and the determination to really do this. So I feel like creativity in common, interests in common. So I feel like that was the seed and the birth. We're like, wow, we really want to do something together. And when we did, we were lucky that it hit really well. The first thing we did together was very well received, and the second thing was really well received. So we're like, wow.
Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Let me ask you this question, because this is important, I think, for everybody. What is the most important or because we only see directors when they're promoting films. What is the hardest thing for a director? Because like I said, we only see them when they're out promoting a film or bringing it to a festival. Give me some of your day-to-day routines. What are you doing when you wake up? It's got to be decision after decision after decision, right?
Absolutely. Yes. So if it seems like we're pausing a little bit, David, it's because sometimes we can't, the screen pauses. So
yeah.
Okay, good. So what I understand, we have to deal with on our day-by-day kind of tasks, and then yeah, I think for us it's well, for me it's basically, you first of all, you have to choose the right projects, because each one is going to be a part of your life and whatever it is that you're filming. But also you have to be fit. To be honest, you have to be on your feet for like 12 hours or more a day minimum, and you have to be running around. And then also I think it's just it's like always sad, especially when we love the thing that we're filming, and the crew, they become family, and the actress or the actor, they always become family. So it's kind of hard to end, and then the game starts again. You got to find the new job or raise the money again.
Yeah, that's the hardest part, is the money. I mean, if you were, if money weren't an issue, we'd all be making movies. So speaking of your latest one, tell us about this latest picture that you have, this latest short film, because this is really, you guys, one thing that you guys do is you inspire not only other people, but you make content. It's not a lot of that studio garbage out there. You're actually doing things that are inspiring people. Tell us about the new project you just finished.
Yeah, that's great. Well, we have in the film industry, you find those people that are really your supporters, and you stick to them as hard as you can. And one of the supporters that we've had is Sylvia. She's, I think, the president of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, and she has a festival in Italy called the Aura Festival. And last year, she's like, Daniel and Bayou, do you have a film I'd love to see? Actually, we sent her Tombstone Pillow, and she's like, this is one of the best short films I've ever seen. And she's like, we find out that Oliver Stone's at her festival and Edward Norton's going to introduce our film. We're like, Sylvia, why didn't you tell us? what the hell you had, going on here. And so, so this year she wanted to do a festival that was all around the environment, the environmental theme. And my high school, this is a huge interest to me. I was involved in Carbon Nation, which was one of the first solutions to global warming documentaries, feature-length documentaries. And this is a subject that we really care about. Bayou wrote a book, a kid's book for, teaching kids environmentalism and how they could, participate and help the planet. And so we started, Sylvia, starting this, doing this environmental themed festival. And then, she got Helen Mirren to come. She got, Matthew Modine, Matthew Dillon, Marissa Tomei. We actually went to Italy. We got to sit in a vineyard with Terry Gilliam for an hour, who made incredible films like Vegas, and just ask him all about his life. But it's all around making this film. And I got to tell you, David, this film was a hell of an adventure, because we made half the film in person, in real life, and then half the film remote. So we found creators in India, Pakistan, like a new era of filmmaking, like digital filmmaking, online filmmaking mixed with, in real life filmmaking. It was really exciting to make the film this way.
Well, yeah, I mean, because it's a worldwide issue. It's not just a United States issue, or it's not just a Japan issue, or it's a worldwide issue. And when you get other big names, and by the way, the marketing, I mean, forget about all the marketing and the networking. And that's what it really comes down to, is really the networking. Who you know. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And because that one person can tell another person, and they're higher up in the food chain, and then next thing you know, they're writing you a check for 6 figures, and go, wait a minute, what happened? But nonetheless, it's one of those things where it's a worldwide problem. And so when you that's one thing film have to do, is bring the awareness to people on whatever the issue is, whether it's politics, or whether it's climate change, or whatever it is. So, I mean, that's incredible to hear you say half of the film was made remotely. That's crazy, because nobody's ever done that. I mean, that has to be a first of some sort of, it's one of those things where, how long does it take you usually? So when you say, okay, we're going to do this project, from financing to casting, and look, for all those out there who don't know, it's a process. I mean, this is why it takes 3 to 4 to 5 years just to get these things done. But how long, roughly, would you say it takes from the time you greenlight something, you say, I want to do this project, to financing, to casting, to finding the right composer, to scouting locations, to the finished editing, to festival?
Great question. Yeah, it's a great question. I would say we generally are, on the movie side, are taking at least a 2-year journey from idea through seeing it all the way through festivals and distribution. So like Bayou said, it is a commitment. You really have to give them the idea. And so for us, from the moment we have the idea, you got to start really working on that script. What was different about Connection is that we didn't really have a script. We had like a visual, kind of a puzzle. We had to figure out how what we did in Los Angeles related to India, how India related to Los Angeles, how Ghana related to Los Angeles, how Pakistan related to all these different places. They all fit together in a really intricate puzzle. So we sort of approached the filmmaking process in a way that we've never done it before. And it was just an incredible way to work. And we formed relationships and bonds in ways that we never imagined. Like, we have a friend now in Pakistan who lives in a small village called Hanza, where there's electricity only 2 hours a day, so it's, you're dealing with different lifestyles, different cultures, but somehow you make technology work across the world. And in India, we wanted to film in a sweatshop. So our whole crew couldn't get permission whatsoever to film in a sweatshop in Mumbai. So they had to fly to the south to be able to do this. And beg, borrow, and steal, and convince people, to do this. So we overcame a lot of obstacles, which is, to be honest with you, it's very much a part of the filmmaking process, and we've come to embrace it and love it. It's but it is a journey. It's a journey into the human experience for us, because we want to make films that matter. So we have to turn over every rock, and we have to explore, and we have to really get down to life itself with our films.
But in order to explain, I mean, each film takes a certain amount of time, but we always have our pre-production, and where we're finding locations, finding the talent, and then so I'd say a couple of weeks. So do you want to give them timelines?
Yeah, I'd say pre-production is like 3 to 6 months, right? And then production is relatively short compared to that. Post-production is like generally about a 6-month process. The editing and then coloring, which would be enhancing the colors. We do original music. We do sound design, which is creating all these atmospheres of sound. Like Danny Boyle, who directed Slumdog Millionaire and Yesterday and Trainspotting, said that he thinks sound is 70% of a film. Like, it's just not an experience with the sound down. So sound is a huge part of it, the sound and the music and the coloring. So, these modern cameras shoot very, very flat, like very desaturated. So the coloring is a big part of it. So it's like the sound design with the original score, with the coloring, all those things are very like refined, polished activities that are very exact. So we spend about 6 months in post-production, but I think what we love about what we do is we enjoy every part of it, David, like developing the idea, the script, pre-producing the film, shooting it, doing all the post-production. And then we really love promoting the film. Like, that's really fun to do magazine articles and to go to festivals and to do podcasts with amazing people like you, who just love cinema. It's just an experience. The whole thing is giving birth to a child and then being part of raising the child.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's the thing, that it's one of those things where, and by the way, he directed one of my my favorite movies, Steve Jobs. But it's one of those things where it's like, he's right. Sound is, you watch a movie with no sound, and even if you've seen the movie countless times, there is something about it. And it's one of those things when you take that, I mean, music in arts and what cannot be underscored. It cannot, because without the music, you don't have certain scenes that work and don't. So even and by the way, when you're making a short that's 15, 20 minutes long, it's even more condensed, right? So it's even that much more impactful. So I can definitely see why music is definitely a big thing. Now, when you guys actually go through the process, because you've done so many now, do you know exactly what you're going to do? Like, okay, obviously you have principal photography and post, but do you guys know that, okay, we're going to go idea, casting, script, everything else down, you have like a template, or is it just on the fly type of thing?
That's a really good question. I feel like sometimes it just starts with the cast member. We have a particular, like with Text Me, we're like, we really want to make this film, but this actor is going to be completely integral to making this film, and they're going to capture the social media generation. So we're going to build the film with them very much at the center of it. So every time it's different. So
Text Me was with Matt Bennett from Nickelodeon's Victorious. He wasn't on Nickelodeon yet, but Daniel had worked with him on a commercial, like an SAT commercial,
studying for the test, the college.
It was a really funny one where the SAT was following him. He was like delaying his time, and he would be playing basketball, and the SAT would come and slam him on the ground. He's like, he's perfect. I'm like, I agree. So then we had to find the perfect girl. But again, I got inspired actually by my students that were sitting and texting each other. That was our first film we ever did. And then Facebook had just come out. Like, it wasn't a thing back then. And then right. I was like, what would happen if we all of a sudden start texting on our phones during a day?
Oh, I've always wanted to write a scene in some sort of material where there are like 4 people around the table and all you're doing is seeing little bubbles pop up and nobody's talking.
It's so brilliant, David, because we were the first ones. I know, I'm pretty sure I didn't see anybody else doing texting on the screen, and we had put that on Text Me, our film, and they were like literally not talking and texting other people. And then Nickelodeon Victorious's like
executive
producers saw the film, and because Matt was in it, and then the next thing you know, Victoria's has it on their screen, and then you see it everywhere now.
Nice, nice.
I'd say we were the first ones to.
That's awesome. That's fantastic, because it's one of those things where in certain situations, so I can't think of one off the top of my head, but it's an important little thing, that if they're in a classroom and they're talking to their friend, you see the little things, because you can only hear so many voiceovers, right? Mm-hmm. So if it's one of those things where it's just going ding, it's pretty cool. Question here from one of our viewers: what do you guys consider to be your greatest achievement in your illustrious career, and how did you adjust to the new wave of cinema post 2020?
Wow, that's a good question. Well, I'd say we talked about cinema post 2020 by talking about doing production remote. We first did that on our film Tombstone Pillow, where we were filming in a cemetery with very, very, very intense poverty. And so we had, our son was 3 years old at the time. So Bayou couldn't come with me to Manila in the Philippines. It was so hard to make that film. We encountered so much heartbreak seeing human beings in that kind of condition, living in that kind of poverty. So Bayou figured out, you want to talk about how you figured that out, Bayou?
Yeah,
like
so
around 2020?
It was so I found out that you could actually talk to anybody in the Philippines. Like they don't have much there, but everyone has Facebook and a phone. So I literally organized like the producers on Facebook. I organized the stylist and
so you put groups.
Yeah, I did groups.
Oh,
and
nice.
Then we mounted a phone to a monitor, and I could see it live as if it was on. I wasn't in the heat. I wasn't in the horrible environment, and so I was able to like environment, meaning in the cemeteries of the Philippines, and I was able to like just see what was happening and the actual performance, and it was quite an experience. And then during 2020, we were hired to do 7 films, and we did them remotely. And then after 2020, now fast forward to now 2023. Well, it's 2024, but 2023, we just shot Connection, and then we used all of those skills that we had learned before to shoot remotely by doing that in the 4 continents. But yeah, thank you very much. It was a great question. What was another part to the question?
What would we think would be the high point of our career? I don't really have an answer for that. I would just say
you guys have won so many awards. I mean, it's tell everybody how many awards you've won.
Well, we're just really fortunate that what we do resonates with people, and we've won over 75 at this point. We just actually got that one by.
Oh yeah, this is beautiful.
We just got this from Rome, and it's just a really beautiful award. And
that's awesome. That's
we
beautiful.
received that for our film Time Is Eternal. So yeah, it's wonderful to be acknowledged for your work as an artist. I think all the artists are really looking for acknowledgement. So I would say they're all important to us, but they're really wonderful ones where we get acknowledgement from someone like Edward Norton, who is in movies that really mean so much to us, like American History X or Fight Club, and he introduces our film in Italy. That's a beautiful thing. So
yeah, I think it's like, it's for me, it's kind of like it's a mixture of that, but then to also be honored at your hometown. Like when that happens, that's a big thing for me, because that's happened a couple of times. And our film that I did on my father, that was called Me, My Father, and the Hurricane. It was a favorite at the Hot Springs Documentary Film Festival, and that's near my hometown. And so that was like really near and dear to my heart. So it goes from like the very high up on the totem pole, the guys that, like Daniel said, Norton Wisdom, that can say, wow, these, or Coldplay say they tweeted our thing we did for them, and all of a sudden you see the millions of fans like seeing your work, like things like that. It's just
all it takes is one.
Yeah.
All it takes is one to go viral. And when you are able to work with such fantastic artists as Coldplay, as Michelle Pfeiffer, and I'm going to bring somebody else up, Mark Ruffalo. Tell us about the experience you had. And for all those that, by the way, guys, I got to say one thing. Not only do they do films, and there's a camera behind them, and we're talking all about films, but they do commercials. Dream Team Directors just isn't a production company, and they're not just, quote, film directors. They do shorts, they do commercials, Tell us about your experience with Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, back to being a director really quickly, like a director's got to work, they got
Mhm.
to pay the bills. So what I love about it is that we get to do movies, we get to do documentaries, we get to do music videos, we get to do commercials. It's all part of the culture of being a filmmaker. And each one of those projects makes you better at what you do. In terms of Mark Ruffalo, I think Mark Ruffalo represents kind of like the most incredible talent that we've been able to work with, because it's not just talent, but it's talent that's putting their celebrity to work to make this world better. And I think that's what we're all about. And that's what's so cool about Mark Ruffalo, is that he's going to go all out to make an impact, a positive impact on the world. And I think doing this project with Mark Ruffalo, and DiCaprio was involved too, that led us to connection, because, with this project with Mark Ruffalo, he was fighting for low-income communities that were living next to oil and gas facilities and being completely poisoned by these facilities that don't care about the people. They don't care about human beings in some cases. And so, yeah, Mark wanted to fight and give those people a voice.
I'm curious. Have you seen Dark Waters?
No.
That is my recommendation to you guys.
Okay.
Speaking about that, and it's based on a true story. It's actually, so anybody who has not seen Dark Waters, it is about, so Mark Ruffalo plays a lawyer.
Oh, I heard about this.
And so it's a fantastic film. And he basically goes and fights for the other side. And all these, so the farms on these cows, they just, we're talking tens of hundreds of cows were dying. And DuPont, was the culprit. And DuPont was putting little microscopic, we all have it in our system now. It can never be getting, eliminated in very, very minute portions of the chemical. And DuPont was dumping it in the waters. And Mark Ruffalo, turns around and fights for the right side. Instead, because he worked for a chemical place, and he was a lawyer for them. He turns around and fights for the right side. It's an outstanding film. I saw it in the theater a couple years ago, and I think it's 2019. Outstanding. So you want to talk about something Mark Ruffalo has done that's under the radar and everything? That's a great movie. I suggest you guys watch that.
I would assume it's participant media. They're doing things.
Yes, I think it was.
Yeah, they're always doing things that are not only incredible storytelling, but are changing the world. That would be like an ideal company for us to work with. We appreciate Mark. He's cool. Also, the thing about Mark is that he'll be like hello to the production assistant. How are you? The same way he would treat someone who's like the top of the show.
Yeah, no, I understand. And I've interviewed a couple of people. Most notably a couple of years ago was Carl Weathers. And what I found was, and that's the number one thing, people in the public eye, they're in the public eye, but they don't usually like it. So they want to just be treated like a normal person. And when people love when they are treated like a normal person, because they're not Mark Ruffalo, the movie star, they're Mark Ruffalo, the person. And so when you talk to somebody like a Carl Weathers or Ruffalo or DiCaprio or whatever it is, it's one of those things where they love that. And so, I totally agree with you. It's all about how the person is treated. Because I think a lot of times people say, oh, that person's snobbish because of this, and that's not true. Because A, they're tired of the repetitiveness, and B, they just want to be treated normal. Any movie star will tell you that.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. We're also generally really good about treating these amazing people just like normal people, but sometimes you're in a room and your buddy's like, Daniel, that's Michelle Pfeiffer. Daniel, that's Catwoman.
I never said it out loud. I only thought it. But
that's what you're going through your head, though.
But a funny story is one time we were like random in Laguna Beach, and I was like, it was right after the pandemic, and I was like shopping for my son at a surf store, and I was like, wow, I was like, okay, Jordan, what do you want? You want these flip flops or those or what? And I felt this person next to me, like how close Daniel is right after 2020. I'm like, why is this person close to me? And all of a sudden I was like, what is that voice? I know that voice. And then it was like he was almost mimicking me because he has two sons as well. I looked over and
Owen Wilson
was there. And that was the one moment that I was like, okay, just breathe, because I'm such a huge fan of his work. So then Daniel came and I was like, Daniel, look who it is. And then we didn't fan out because it's such a small
That's awesome.
industry, but we just say, hi, nice to meet you. My name is Bayou. This is Daniel. And then we're like, we love your latest film. And he was super excited because he was like, yeah, I just got in Sundance. And like, he was just like a person excited.
Exactly.
Yeah. It was so sweet.
But, and that's the thing. Like the average person who only sees these people like an Owen Wilson or Ruffalo or whoever it is, whatever star you want, they only see him in front of a camera. Or right. Walking on a red carpet or whatever. They don't see the behind the scenes stuff. And I love the behind the scenes stuff of any movie because that's where the fun stuff happens. Exactly. Because in between takes, because they're normal people. And so when you hear a story like that, it's like, that's pretty, that's pretty cool. I'm going to pose a question here. I'm curious, see what you think.
Okay.
A studio comes up to you, whatever, let's say it's A24, because they are a up and coming, they've got a couple really good ones coming out. But let's say A24 comes up and says, hey guys, look, we want you to develop a story. It can be anything you want. Okay. Number one, what kind of story would you develop? And number two, would you actually want to go work for a studio? I mean, obviously you've got a hugely successful production company, everything else. Would you guys ever want to be like, hey, look, we'll sign on, but we have to work as a pair, but we'll do it a A24 studio picture? Or is that something that's not interesting to you?
No, definitely interesting. I think a studio experience would be great. I mean, it's like, I love all the top A-list best budget films and that's what you would get. But I kind of know what it would be like. And I think we've worked in one of the hardest industries, which is honestly commercial. So when you work with an ad agency, like every single little piece is not, it's like, can we have this cup? And it goes through 5 people. So we know what that's like. And, doing national TV commercials. But I think really it's, for me, it would be a dream come true because we have like 3 films that would need the support of a studio. And one of them is an anti-war film that's very, very important. And I think we should bring that back, because Daniel is originally from Israel. And so he's got and his grandma survived the Holocaust. And I think that film, if a studio came to us, we would absolutely be like, we would love to do this film. Or if they had their own film and it had some sort of a good message, human rights message, or some sort of a, something with a purpose that aligns with our purpose. Absolutely. I would love that. Would you love it?
Yeah. I mean, I would just be super down to work with A24. I think they're a really exciting company, and just basically it's just finding someone that you align vision with. Do you know what I mean? And someone that, is on the same page as you, like thematically and purpose wise and energy wise. That's what we're always trying to do. Like, I think a biggest part of our success, David, is finding, people that have the right energy that we do and we work well together with. I think that's where the magic happens, is in the teamwork.
No, I totally agree with you. Because it's one of those things where it's hard enough to make a movie, but when you have to have all of these people around you and understand your vision, I think that's the biggest thing. It's what I'm just trying to think. So what would you say is your favorite thing to work on? Is it feature films? Is it commercials? Is it, what do you think, or do you guys have a favorite? Because commercials are more intensely short.
True. And it's so interesting. I love what you said earlier, David, about how like a short film, like you have to condense a lot into a short amount of time, the 15 to 20 minutes. And I mean, I think it's been fun doing short films too. I think it is, we put just as much hard work into it, just minus the shoot days. There's less shoot days, but everything else, if we can, we try to do it as high level as possible. For me, I love doing like our fantasy short film Time is Eternal was a joy for me, because we got to, we had Cleopatra as one of the characters, and then and she was the power of side of the woman with beauty and strength. But then we had Mary Wollstonecraft in the same film, where she's like power of the pen and the mind. And then we had a mermaid, and then we had the most beautiful set and like visual effects and fantasy and underwater scenes. And so for me, that was like a dream come true. So I just feel like I just love creating, but I think I love films. I really love.
You love fiction, right? Fiction.
I love fiction. Yeah. What about you?
I like the opportunity to do different things. You know what I mean? It's sort of like, I like the sushi bar where you get to try, this roll, and you get to try, a little bit of miso soup.
Variety. Variety.
Yeah, variety. I really like variety. I like the fact that we can hop from a documentary that's super meaningful to a fiction film to a commercial. But I think I just like working with really great people on things that I believe in. I'd say that's what really drives me. Nice. But visual storytelling the most, like very visual storytelling is the most.
Absolutely. And I think for me, being, watching films and everything else, the story is the most important thing. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's Mission Impossible or if it's Steve Jobs or if it's Time is Eternal. The story is the absolute linchpin. Because if you don't have a good story, and I took a screenwriting class once, and the screenwriter, it's funny, the guy was actually the screenwriter of the movie SWAT many years ago. But he said one important thing that I never forgot. The moviegoer will take one giant leap. And if they're willing to take that one giant leap and that's it, that's fine. But when you start to see these little holes, this story is not filled in, or that character isn't doing, there's no character arc there, or whatever. Like, I'll be honest, I watched Killers of the Flower Moon the other night, and I had to watch it in 2 sittings. It was quite long. But the point is, there was no arc. I mean, I love Scorsese, don't get me wrong. But from the time the movie started to the time it ended, this character went from point A to point B. But it took a long time.
Oh, no.
And the point is that he eventually got there, but there was really no arc. Like, so it was okay. And, it's a masterpiece. I mean, but Scorsese, people, and you guys can do it as well as I could name 10 Scorsese films that are better than that. Story is it's extremely important. And so whatever the story is, whatever the characters are. So I guess the next question is, what do you guys have on tap next? Because you guys, once you start one thing, and we all know it's on to the next project.
Yeah, right now I would say there's a project that we're working on with a very, very cool street artist who's British named Plastic Jesus. And we're developing a TV series based on his life, which is totally remarkable. And, he was a kind of like undercover journalist. So doing very, very, very kind of like almost James Bond type stuff. And so that's what we're working on right now, is sort of like, working on this street art fiction series. And it's extremely exciting for us because we get to combine everything, visual storytelling with changing the world, with art, which we love. And so I think that's one of the things we're working on. And every week is different. That's what's cool about being a filmmaker, is you get a call or you write to like everyone and you're like, okay, I'm available right now. This is, how are you? What's new? How's the family? And then something else happens. So that's what's cool about it.
And there's no repetition.
Repetition.
It's completely, when you wake up in the morning, you don't know what's going to happen. Unpredictability.
Yeah. And then miraculously, you have to pull a certain amount of money out of the hat every month. That's another kind of look into the reality of being a filmmaker.
Aren't you glad though, when I was talking about today, aren't you glad you don't have to raise $50 or $75 million?
Yeah.
It's hard enough raising $50,000, let alone $50 million, right?
Filmmaking is just kind of crazy because, like, you not only have to create an amazing story, you not only have to find the best actors you possibly can, you not only have to find money and protect that money and get that money back and make money on it, but you also have to make that movie popular somehow. It's like there's so many challenges, but I think that's what's so cool about it, David. Honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, and that's the biggest thing. Movies have definitely, even one thing that movies do, I mean, besides inspire and entertain and everything else, is that's the one thing that I tell people all the time. Hollywood is a business. Let's be honest. People want ROI, return on their investment. If they're putting $100 million into a film, they want to make $300 million. Yeah. And so I think it's just, you guys aren't, the thing is, you don't have to worry about it. And that's a big thing, because a lot of the time, if you don't, one thing about directors in Hollywood is it's always, what have you done for me lately? Right.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where you don't have to, you can just say, okay, that was good. But you can take what you learned from this and improve on the next, whatever the next project is, because it's different than what, yeah. So this is just a random question. So you get a biopic. Well, first of all, would you guys ever consider doing a little short, depending on who it was, biopic?
Oh, yeah.
Whoever it was. And secondly, if somebody came up to you guys and said, who would you want to play you in a movie?
Who would we want to play us in a movie?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I know. Well, it's like, mine's a mixture though, but I can't have a mixture.
No, I mean,
Sandra Bullock and Julia Roberts.
There you go. Daniel?
I never thought about that. That is fascinating. But I do think we have a great story of like a couple who meets in New York, on the Lower East Side.
Who's the guy that always comes? Sorry, but not to interrupt. You should tell that story. But who's the
people say sometimes I look a little bit like Seth Green.
Oh yeah, Seth Green. He always gets that.
I love Seth Green, actually. He's great. He's really good. I think he could play a great filmmaker too. I think that would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's one of those things where, I mean, biopics are one of those things, and they're so, I mean, I think Hollywood runs it bad. It's just me personally. I mean, you go back 10 years, you had movies like Southpaw and, Creed and all these other films, these boxing movies. In the last 10 years, you've seen a lot of musical biopics, right? I mean, we've got one coming out with Bob Marley later on this year. As a matter of fact, that's dropping February 14th. But you've got like Rocket Man, even though it wasn't necessarily a biopic, A Star is Born. You had, Bohemian Rhapsody. You've had all these, Whitney Houston story. Hollywood runs in fads. So it's one of those things where.
Rocket Man.
Rocket Man was amazing.
Rocket Man. I forgot about Rocket Man. So, I mean, that's what I mean. I think that when you see one, everybody says, oh, that works. And then they just piggyback off that one.
I think ours would be different, though, David, is because we're not so far our story's been two separate filmmakers that from different parts of the world found each other in New York and fell in love and have kept in love in Hollywood. And I mean, that would be fun.
No, absolutely. Well, I mean, look at, 25, 30 years ago, we had Sleepless in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but there are only so many stories out there in all of the genres. Whether it's love, whether it's sci-fi, whether it's whatever it is. And so every movie, biopics aside, but every single movie out there is basically another, you can say, okay, this reminds me of this.
Yeah.
And that's an important thing. I could see Martin Freeman play Daniel in a biopic. Yeah. Yeah. I could definitely get the resemblance there. So let me ask you this. Who is the one actor or actress, because you guys have reached a pinnacle where you can work with A-list talent. Who is the one actor or actress that you haven't worked with yet that you want to work
That's a good question.
That's a good question. I really love Scarlett Johansson personally.
Yeah, she's amazing.
I really think she's something special, like extremely talented.
Actor, well, okay, what's the guy that played in
Bayou loves Colin Firth, right?
Colin Firth is great, and then the young actor is the guy who played Willy
in Willy Wonka?
Chocolate Factory. What is
his name? Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah, he's amazing. He can transform. Like we just saw him in that film, and then our other favorite film with him is with.
He did this Woody Allen film that people didn't talk about. I feel, Rainy Day in New York, but he was just so natural in that. He was just great. He has a wonderful, sharp wit in that film.
He'll win an Oscar in the next 10 years. Yes. I have no doubt in my mind. Yeah. I mean, he is the type of actor that, that's why, and what I'm really looking forward to is Doom coming out in March. Mm-hmm. But he has a lot of acting talent. And it's one of those things where he can do a movie like a Wonka and then turn around and do a Doom. He has range. He has a lot of range.
Agreed.
So it's just a matter of he's going to get a lot of roles. And so Timothée Chalamet is definitely going to be there, I think. But yeah, it's just what else? I don't know. Let's see. Well, so maybe I've asked this, but when was that aha moment for you guys? So you've had this company now for over a decade and a half. When was the moment that you maybe on set or you were talking in pre-production for a project? When was that moment that you both together said, we can do this?
Yeah, well, I think it was back in New York, and we had just finished Text Me. I know we would keep going back to that. Was our first film together, and we had literally just played in 15 film festivals. We played in Times Square for 3 days, won Best Audience Award, won 3 top awards at that point. Those were our first awards, and got our management in Hollywood from that. And we were in New York, and we were walking, and it was all snowy, and I was like, we could really do this. Let's move to Hollywood. And that was the moment for both of us, I think. But is there another moment that you were like?
I pretty much just follow Bayou. I'm like, she is the spiritual and cheerleading spearhead of our company. And she always just believes that things can be done. I honestly think that might be the most important key, is the belief that you can do it, and staying positive and not letting things get you down or have losses or failures. Like, just discard them and move on. If you can do that, then you can do anything, I feel.
So I was just watching Variety, or anyways, it was either THR or Variety, and every single it was THR. So every year, as you guys may or may not know, they do this for all of the separate categories, whether it's actor or actress or supporting actor or support. Anyways, I was watching the directors last night, and you had Michael Mann, and you had Greta Gerwig, and you had Bradley Cooper, and you had Eva. You had a couple of the other ones, and a lot of them went back to Michael Mann, and because Bradley Cooper was telling a story. This is when he was very young, and he tried out for a role in Public Enemies. Now, anybody who's not familiar with Public Enemies, that's a film I want to say is 2007. Don't quote me on the year, but it was with Johnny Depp and Christian Bale, and it was age-old tale of Al Pacino or Al Capone and Elliot Ness, and he tried out for the role, and he didn't get it. Wow. And Michael Mann actually sat down and wrote him a letter. And he has that letter framed in his office.
Oh my God!
And the point is that he even said it the other night. You're going to get a lot of no's. You're going to get a lot of doors slammed in your face. You just have to. That one little thing. He's like, because of that, I write every single actor or actress that auditions for me, even if they don't get it. I sit down and write them a letter.
Oh my God.
That one little action plays out. And so, somebody else was talking about, it was just things like that. And I think going back to your point, it is a very difficult business. And Mann's basically like, you're putting everything you have in 90 seconds out there. You've prepped, you know the lines, you're trying this, and you're putting yourself out there for these 3 or 4 people to say yay or nay. And it's not instantaneous. It's, yeah, the old, at age old, we'll get back to you. And it's like, all right, this slow drip, just tell me one way or the other if I have the part or not, because they have to go through so many people. But that one little action from a director speaks volumes to who they are.
That's
and
so,
I just, yeah.
That's, when Bayou and I are making a film, I try to walk around the set and go to every department as, often as I can personally, and just tell everyone how thankful we are that they're working on our project, because everyone brings so much to our work, the production designer or, the cinematographer, production assistant, like it's so appreciated. And I think like what Michael Mann did is something that like one little person doing that changes our whole industry, because like you start changing the way that you treat people, like it changes the whole industry. Like actually write people back when they write you. Like, thank you very much for reaching out to me. It's not right for me, but I highly appreciate you reaching out to me. Like we're always trying to do stuff like that because we believe, like as Gandhi said, you can be the change that you want to see in the world. And I think that Michael Mann story is a very powerful one.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where it's, I mean, I have a friend who's a PA in Atlanta, and before, the strike and everything else, I mean, he said some of the conditions, and mind you, this is Atlanta, which is not only a hot place to work already, but, he's a PA. Okay. So, I mean, he's the lowest of the low. He's the 12, 14, 15-hour days.
Yeah,
getting
tough.
crap wages. And it's like sometimes he doesn't feel like he was appreciated enough.
Yeah.
And of course, the whole strike happens, and now he's pushing, to be like, hey, and so the Globes happened the other night. That was one of the biggest things he wanted. He was so happy when all these people were like, I want to thank the crew on the project, or, I want to thank the assistant who was answering my emails or whatever, because everybody behind the scenes is just as important as everybody who's in front of the scenes.
Agreed.
I love that. I love like how David Fincher, I don't remember where it was, but he's like, in front of, hundreds of people at one of these, picking up one of these awards. And he's like, I really want to thank the catering, that, helped me, be a great director.
Yeah. I mean, the director of The Color Purple was on there the other night too. And actually he said something, that's almost what he said verbatim. He's like, I want to thank the people that basically did the catering, because they fed us for, like a month. They took 2 hours out of their day every single day, and they fed us. And Absolutely. It's like, that's what keeps us going to do this stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's so true.
But, okay, so I thought we'd have a little fun closing. Okay, yeah. So this is an old interview. This is a little fun thing. So both of you guys can answer these. So don't feel like it's just one or the other. So what is your favorite word?
Love.
Imagination.
Okay. Bayou?
I love.
Okay. What is your least favorite word?
Hate.
Whoa, that's what I was going to say. I would say you. Yeah, like I hate you.
Yeah, yeah. What turns you on creatively?
I would say like great movies and great artwork.
Yeah, and great style and makeup and hair and acting.
Okay. What turns you off creatively?
Bad sound, bad lighting, bad acting, bad writing. And sometimes I do study it, by the way, just to know what not to do. Right.
Well, and that's like podcasts. Like I used to have a podcast many years ago, and half of all the podcasts out there, I always made it because I was always looking at it like I was a listener. So if you turned on my podcast, I wanted to have the absolute best possible quality sound that you had. If you had in the background, or staticky, or you could barely hear me, you're not going to want to listen to that. So I mean, I think it's very important to not only study what's successful, but what isn't successful, so you know not what to do.
That's right.
You're a truly incredible host. I love your style, love your personality. I think what turns me off is unprofessionalism in every way, in every form it has, whether it's bad sound, showing up late, not following through, that turns me off creatively.
What sound or noise do you love?
I love the violin. I used to play it as a young child, so I personally love it, and I put it in my films with the composer all the time.
Nice.
I love that. I'm going to compliment you with the cello. I love the cello, and I really like the harpsichord.
Nice. Unique. What sound or noise do you hate or dislike, I should say?
Scratching. Somebody scratching on a chalkboard.
I just got her picture. That was scary. I would say like the garbage trucks in New York at like really early in the morning, like the way that they screech backwards and smash things. Yeah, I hate that.
Okay. This goes to the next question. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt if you weren't doing what you're doing?
Oh my God.
Well, so I've been a few things this lifetime. I was a professional dancer, professor, and now a filmmaker. And the only thing I haven't done that I wished I had like pursued was be a singer. I grew up with musicians.
Wow.
Yeah.
Daniel?
That's I would like to be a public speaker. Like, I mean, I kind of do that.
Number one fear of people.
I would like to do more. Like
we do that. We'll do more.
I'd like to do that on a bigger scale.
Number one fear of people is public speaking. Because
we
they are
really active.
Because
we love it.
David, they are.
Get us on the stage. We'll do it for you.
Okay, so we're gonna flip the question around now.
Okay.
What profession other than your own would you least like to attempt?
I would least like to be a surgeon.
Makes sense. No, yeah.
Yeah. I had a couple of answers, but then it left.
What about a dentist, Mike?
Yeah, dentist. I would hate. I don't like.
Yeah, anything in the medical profession. Just...
pain.
Okay, and last one, and we'll get to a fan question here in a minute. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you are standing at the pearly gates?
I think you helped many people, and because of you, the planet was a better place.
Cool. And this is going to be the last question of the day. What era of film is your favorite? Would you make a film in that style of that era? So 50s, 60s, 80s.
Oh, you said it. 80s for me.
But big hair, big music.
I have a better answer because we have a film that has our characters go through different eras. So but they're actually going to be in the 60s, and then they go in the future, and they go and the right, Daniel? So,
yeah, it's like a romantic comedy that unfolds across parallel universes. So our love of eras is definitely in that film, but 60s and 80s for me, please.
Yeah.
Right. Have you seen Maestro?
No.
No, not yet. Should we?
It's when you talk about eras going through, so that Maestro it's unfortunate. I think Cillian Murphy's going to win Best Actor, okay, but Bradley Cooper basically personified Leonard Bernstein.
Wow.
It was it goes through black and white to color, but it focuses on the marriage of these two individuals, how they met, who he really was, how accepting she was of him, everything about it. And it was just the editing in the first 5 to 10 minutes of the film, having to match the beats of certain things and everything else. The conducting. Cooper had always said, when he was like 8, he wanted to get a baton for Christmas. He did. The 6-minute sequence, if they could give an Academy Award for scenes, that would win for scenes.
Oh my God.
I'm telling you guys, and it's perfect for you guys because it's a romance, it's a marriage and it spans time, and it's just so well made. Unfortunately, I think there's another film that's probably going to just clean up. But yeah, so anyways, that is where we're going to leave it. You guys have been fantastic, and I know you guys got a super busy schedule. You're probably like, okay, you probably were getting like 3 or 4 text messages. Hurry up with this, I want to thank you for your time because, not only were you gracious to me for giving me an hour of your time, but our viewers are going to definitely enjoy this. So
we are super stoked on your audience.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, David.
And yeah, so coming up for everybody on Friday, we've got another retrospective, and then I have a brand new series. So in February, we're going to be doing Black History Month. Get Out is going to be the perfect movie of the month. But before that, I've got a couple of other. I'm developing this new series. I have a couple of shows I want to start to put together. It's called Anatomy of a Movie. Guys, this is going to be interesting. It's all going to be based on the theme of the movie or maybe the production. So, for example, Return of the Jedi. Even though it's 40 years old, what is it really about? Acceptance. Or Steve Jobs and how going back to Danny Boyle, okay, how he filmed it. And, Danny Boyle was a big theater guy, and how he did that. Or, Heat, or all of these other movies I'm going to be covering. That's going to be twice a month. Hopefully going to get that off the ground in the next couple of months. Guys, the thing about it is this. So I'm trying to do this full time and make this a career like these two fantastic people here. What I'm going to say is this. If you guys go to the membership page, it's $3 a month. Okay, it's less than a cup of coffee or a gallon of gas right now. The biggest one is $10 a month. My goal, we're on hashtag on the road to 2,000 and 20 to 30 paid memberships for this year. That's my goal. And so, the more you guys, if nothing else, guys, hit that like and subscribe button because you're going to be getting interviews like this. You're going to be getting perfect movies. You're going to be getting anatomy of the movie. You're going to be getting all this stuff. You can't get all this stuff for $10 a month. Netflix doesn't even give you all this stuff for $10 a month. Mm-hmm. All that being said, I want to thank my guests here today because I had a blast talking to them. And so take care of yourselves. I can't wait to see what you guys do next. And that's going to do it for today. I'm David Steele. He's Daniel. She's Bayou. And you guys have been watching Real Talk.